I want you to picture something. She used to text first. She used to laugh at things you said even when they were not that funny. She used to make time for you without you having to ask. And now, she is distant. Replies take hours. Conversations feel short, almost forced. She seems present, but somehow far away. And the harder you try to close that distance, the more she seems to slip further from you. If this is happening to you right now, I want you to know something before we go any further. What you do in the next few days could either push her further away or quietly bring her back. And the answer is not what most people think. It is not grand gestures. It is not long emotional messages. It is not trying harder. It is one thing, one simple, counterintuitive shift that, when done correctly, changes everything. Stay till the end, because I'm also going to tell you exactly when this trick does not work and what that actually means. Welcome back to Psychology on Love, the channel where we decode what is really happening beneath the surface of human behavior so you stop guessing and start understanding. If you're new here, subscribe right now, because what you learn in the next few minutes could change how you handle this situation completely. Let us get into it. First, let us understand why she is pulling away in the first place. Because the reason matters more than the behavior itself. When a woman distances herself emotionally, it is rarely random. And in most cases, it is not really about you in the way you think. Here is what is usually happening underneath the surface. She is feeling overwhelmed, sometimes by the relationship, sometimes by life, sometimes by emotions she has not fully processed yet, about you, about herself, about where things are going. And here is the part that confuses most people. When women feel emotionally overwhelmed, the instinct is often not to talk about it immediately. It is to retreat, to create space, to process internally before processing externally. This is not rejection. This is regulation. Her nervous system is trying to manage something, and right now, distance feels safer than closeness. But here is where it gets complicated. Because when she pulls back, and you, understandably, panic and start reaching out more, something happens that makes everything worse. This brings us to the one thing you actually need to do. Mirror her energy. Do not chase it. Let me explain exactly what this means, because it is often misunderstood. When someone pulls away, and the other person responds by pulling closer, texting more, calling more, asking what is wrong over and over, trying to fix it immediately, it sends an unintended signal. It signals urgency. It signals anxiety. And on a subconscious level, it can actually confirm the very thing she was starting to feel, that this relationship requires her to manage your emotions in addition to her own. That additional pressure does not pull her back. It pushes her further into the space she was already retreating to. Mirroring her energy means something very different. It means matching her pace without coldness, without punishment, without dramatic withdrawal of your own. If she is replying briefly, you reply with warmth, but briefly. If she needs space, you give her space, not as a strategy to manipulate her, but as a genuine acknowledgement that she is allowed to have an inner world that does not always include you in real time. This is not about playing games. It is about communicating, without words, one of the most reassuring messages a person can receive. I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not going to make my peace depend on yours being immediate. Now here is why this works on a psychological level. When someone feels emotionally crowded, even by someone they care about, their body responds the way it would to any perceived pressure. It tightens. It defends. It creates distance, because distance, in that moment, feels like the only available form of control. But when that pressure is removed, when she is given room to breathe without being abandoned, something shifts. The same nervous system that was defending itself starts to relax. And in that relaxed state, something important happens. She starts to miss the connection on her own terms. Not because she was pulled back into it, but because the space she needed was respected. And in that respected space, she naturally reoriented toward what she actually wants. This is the difference between someone coming back because they feel safe to, versus someone being pulled back because they feel guilty not to. One creates resentment, the other creates relief. Now let us talk about how this actually looks in practice. Because this is where most people get it wrong even when they understand the theory. Mirroring her energy does not mean disappearing. It does not mean going cold to teach her a lesson. It does not mean playing it so cool that she thinks you do not care. It means staying warm, staying present, but releasing your grip on the outcome. If she sends a short message, you can respond with something easy and undemanding. Something that does not require an emotional response from her. No pressure questions. No what is wrong. No why have you been distant lately. Just presence. Light, easy, undemanding presence. This does two things at once. It keeps the connection alive, so she does not feel like you have disappeared too. And it removes the emotional weight that was making the connection feel heavy in the first place. Now, here is the part one promised you. The part about when this does not work. If you mirror her energy, if you give her space, if you stop chasing, if you stay warm without pressure, and the distance continues to grow rather than ease, that is information too. Sometimes distancing is temporary, a response to stress, overwhelm, or a moment that needs processing. And in those cases, space combined with steady presence almost always brings someone back closer than before. But sometimes, distancing is the early stage of someone emotionally preparing to leave. And in those cases, no amount of space, patience, or mirroring will reverse it, because the distance is not coming from overwhelm. It is coming from a decision that has already quietly begun, even if it has not been said out loud yet. The way to tell the difference is simple, even though it is not easy to face. If, when given space, she eventually softens, reaches back out, re-engages, lets you back in, that is overwhelm resolving itself. But if the space you give simply becomes the new normal, if weeks pass and the distance never closes, never even seems to bother her, that is not something to fix with patience. That is something that needs an honest conversation. Direct, calm, without blame. Because the goal is never to wait forever in silence hoping things change. The goal is to give the relationship the best possible chance to recover naturally. And if it does not, to have enough self-respect to ask clearly and honestly what is actually going on. So here is what I want you to remember. When she distances herself, your instinct will scream at you to close the gap immediately. Resist that instinct. Match her energy. Stay warm, stay present, but stop pulling. Give the relationship room to breathe and watch what it does on its own. Sometimes it comes back to life, and sometimes it shows you something you needed to see. Either way, you will have your answer, and either way, you will have handled it with a kind of calm, grounded presence that, more than anything else, makes people want to come closer. If this gave you a new way to think about distance in your relationship, share it with someone who needs to hear it right now. Drop a comment below. Has space ever brought someone back to you or shown you the truth? I read every single one. And if you are not subscribed to Psychology on Love yet, this is your sign. Every week we go deep into the real psychology behind love, connection, and the patterns that shape every relationship. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you in the next one. The space between two people is not always a gap that needs to be closed. Sometimes, it is the very thing that brings them back together. I will see you in the next video.